Are we live? I think we are. Good evening, Millennial Entrepreneurs. I'm Kris Schwieman. It's great to see you again. And so last week I did not get a chance to stream. I had a automotive difficulty. We'll leave it at that in case my insurance is watching. By the way, I used to work in the insurance industry. Always better to pay cash for any automotive difficulties that may occur or arise. Anyway, they'll jack up your premiums for life, and they never lower them, it seems like. But anyway, yeah, I am kicking myself for not streaming last week because I said I'd do it, and I hate lying to myself. However, we're going to stream this week and move forward. Again, I am outside here. My dad is still recovering, so I do apologize if there are any chimpanzee noises in the background. I can't help it. Today we're smoking an Arturo Fuente special reserve Maduro something I picked up at a local tobacco shop just on a whim. It was fairly cheap, $5, and good so far. Anyway, getting into it, tonight we have a book review, none other than Elon Musk, the book that was written about him by Ashley Vance. It's called Elon Musk, SpaceX, Tesla, something else. Just Google Elon Musk book, and it's got a long title. You'll find it. So, Elon Musk, the guy that wants to go to Mars. How about that? How's that for a goal? Setting him high. $24.6 billion net worth, maybe 23.6, I'm not sure. I know it's fluctuating with Tesla's stock price. However, he's a rich guy, very successful, had a lot of great companies, kind of a serial entrepreneur, and he's basically Jesus Christ in the eyes of many millennial entrepreneurs. People love them, especially engineers, and everyone in the tech sector. I respect the man a bunch. It was a great read, and I've just got a couple points I'd like to go over. Just kind of a summary of the book. So basically it's about his life, his early childhood. It's a biography up until several years ago. He was born in South Africa, actually, which is why he has the weird accent. And yeah, he read a lot as a child. Apparently he read up to 10 hours a day some days as a child, and he was also in love with video games on computers. Something that I don't really do, but I guess I can relate to the reading part. And apparently he had like a photographic memory. And so he memorized, there's a story of him memorizing the contents of 2 encyclopedias, which is pretty badass if you ask me. And so he did go 4 years to Queen's College in Canada, I believe. Once he emigrated to the U.S., he went to college to avoid the mandatory military service in South Africa. And so he went 4 years in college. He, I guess he lived in like a giant frat house, and to pay for college and make extra money, they used to throw parties, and I guess he would charge for something, I don't know, the alcohol, and he would make money that way. But he was never really a partier, I guess. But anyway, he got accepted into Stanford, went there 2 days, and then he dropped out and moved to Silicon Valley, which is where he started his first company with a couple others. And it was called Zip2, and a lot of people think that PayPal was Elon Musk's first company, but that is not true. He had one before. It was called Zip2. I believe it's zip2.com. I don't think it's around anymore. But yeah, it was basically similar to Yelp with reviews and stuff, local businesses. And that was how he made his first million. He was in his early 20s. And he slept in his office. He was the designated programmer at Zip2. And so he would write like 20 hours a day, just write code. And he'd sleep in the office, and they'd shower at the YMCA, which is something I almost did. I almost lived in my office once. But it's better to have a home office, in my opinion. It's better to not be in that environment. You kind of need to de-stress. But there's nothing wrong with living in an office if it pays off. So anyway, after that, he sold the company. He founded immediately afterwards X.com, which they eventually changed the name to PayPal. And in the book, you know, he was the head guy there, along with Peter Thiel, I think it's Thiel. I've heard it said both ways. Another great entrepreneur. I don't know a lot about him, but yeah, so they they made PayPal, and Musk actually had a much bigger vision for it than what it is today. He wanted it to he wanted you to be able to trade commodities and stocks on there and equities, and that's something that you know, they've never really fully integrated into it. But I think that would be amazing. Definitely complicated, but who knows? But they did end up selling PayPal to eBay, obviously, and they own it now. But I think he made like $150 million when they sold that. So that was his first real money. And then after that, he put that money into SpaceX and Tesla. And I forget, I think he put all of it in. He didn't save anything, and basically he was homeless. There's a story of him calling his friend Larry Page at Google and saying, dude, I got nowhere to stay. I invested everything I have into these two companies. Not at the same time, but you know, within a couple years. And they weren't supposed to work. I mean, come on, NASA goes to the moon. NASA goes to space. The Chinese space agency, the Russian space agency. Not a private individual. But Musk has proven that private companies do it better. I don't think anybody's died in any of their missions so far, and I believe they've had manned missions. But yeah, I'm not up to date on SpaceX as much as Tesla. And then Tesla as well. Electric cars are supposed to be crap. I mean, they really are supposed to be terrible. And they were. You know, you had hybrids and stuff, but you never really saw an electric car that could go more than like 30 or 50 miles. So he really defied the odds, and they weren't supposed to work, and he succeeded so many times at all these different companies. First it was, you know, Zip2, next was PayPal, SpaceX, Tesla, and those are both very successful. And then obviously recently he started I think he tweeted, he said, I'm going to start a company called The Boring Company, as a joke. And the next day he actually did it, and he got like government contracts to dig holes. And I believe he's putting in a Hyperloop. That's his grand vision. They want to do public transit, make it more efficient, urban planning and such. And then Solar City, of course, which is the company. A lot of people don't know that Musk funded that. But basically they make solar tile shingles that you put on your house, and the sun comes down, they absorb the energy, and a solar-powered house completely off the grid, which I think is amazing. But he didn't have enough time to run it, so he just funded it, and I believe he let his relatives or his wife's relatives run it. Mosquitoes. And Yeah, so he didn't have any money for a long time. He was homeless, basically. He had to stay at a friend's place. He was dead broke. And so if those two companies didn't work, I mean, most people would retire once they hit 150 million, but not Musk. He kept pushing because he has a grand vision, and the world needs more vision. You have to figure out what your vision is. What are you going to do? It doesn't have to be huge. Maybe you just want to be a housewife. Maybe you want to build a great family. Maybe you want to be a great dad, a house husband. But you should have a vision. Think, just take some time off, sit in the woods without any, electrical devices, and just think. I did that. Sat on an island for 3 days with no food, very little water, just had a fire, keep the bugs away in a tent, no electronics, and it really solidifies. You get to think, okay, what do I really want? What do I really need to do? What is my purpose? Purpose. It's another buzzword. But another point that when he was so stressed out when Tesla and SpaceX were not working initially, because they both weren't, like I said, they both defied the odds. He would fire people over typos, which is kind of reminiscent of Steve Jobs. He would fire people because they brought him the wrong coffee, I believe. But anyway, yeah. That's a little over the top, in my opinion, management style. But it's damn motivating, I'll tell you that. Also, another point, final point of this book, that I really took away from this. Ideas are second to execution. And what that means, electric cars, I mean, they've been around since like the 20s. I mean, since automobiles first existed, people had electric car ideas. And so many other people have tried to, put the idea into practice, but they've just executed so poorly that they didn't make it work. These are not new ideas. Same with SpaceX. I believe Jeff Bezos, get some water here. Jeff Bezos has a space company as well. Kind of funny. Blue something. Apologize, I don't know the name of it. Blue something. But he has not been nearly as successful as Musk. And that just goes to prove you don't have to have a unique, really good, life-changing, world-changing, revolutionary idea. There are very few of those. I mean, you look at the iPhone, that was revolutionary and, world-shattering. But Apple started making computers. I mean, that's, the Apple I, and then the Macintosh. They were not the first company to make computers, not by a long shot. But nobody remembers the people that made Commodores, or whatever the first computer companies were. They were around in World War II, I think, to an extent. Of course, they take up rooms and stuff, but you have to execute. If you execute, even if you have better execution than somebody that's huge, you will be successful. If somebody's making dominoes, let's say manufacturing dominoes, and they're giant, but they're kind of doing a crappy job and they're just average, but then you make it cool to play dominoes or whatever, and you execute better on that, you will eventually become better than them. You will make more money, you will have better customer relations, customer service, and it all comes down to hard work. That's most of what execution is. Just hard work. And it is the great equalizer. It brings me to my second point of the night. Hard work. Everybody likes to say it. Most people don't do it. I don't know why. Ever since I was a kid, I think all of us, when we were kids, we loved to work hard. We'd play outside all day long, and our parents would have to force us to come inside Kris, stop rolling around in the mud. It's time to eat dinner. It's time to come inside. And for some reason that doesn't, we could do that 20 hours a day when we were kids. Maybe not 20, but, because we're still growing. But, 16 hours a day, all we do is play. Not so much anymore because of the rise of video games, but there are kids that still spend 16 hours a day on video games, and that's doing something. So I don't understand the line between pleasure and work. If you're going to do something, if you're only going to work 8 hours and then you go home and you're not doing anything else, you're just watching television, why not work 16, 18, 20 hours? If you're just going to sleep for 6 hours anyway, you might as well be making money. And I remember my first job, I was mowing lawns and then I was delivering pizzas. And both of them was like, man, I get paid to do this? I'm going to do this all the time. This is awesome. And it doesn't matter. It's just work. You're going to do something anyway. You might as well get paid. I'm talking in terms of a job. But also in business. If you're just going to lay on the couch and watch TV, and sometimes that's, okay. I guess everybody needs time off to relax. But if you're going to do nothing, why not do something? I understand, de-stress, whatever, but do that like one day a week and then work the rest. Maybe I'm a workaholic. I don't know. I like to think of myself as that, I guess, but I don't think it's a negative. It's the most important thing in business to have a good work ethic. I truly believe that, or one of the most important, maybe not the most important, but especially when you're starting out. That is the advantage that you can have, that we all can have over someone who has an established business when we're first starting. Let's say I'm starting out internet marketing. I'm building websites for local businesses, very basic. My competition, let's say they have 100 clients. They have an agency going. They're very well established. They're making, a couple $100,000 a month. And yeah, they're great. And they have employees and stuff, but the number one way that I can get a leg up on my competition and take their clients is to work harder. We all have 24 hours in a day. Bill Gates does, Jeff Bezos does, the drunk on the corner does. Everybody is equal in that regard. Skin color doesn't matter, time is the equalizer. Now, what matters is how you spend it. If you're going to spend it watching TV, there are a lot of distractions, so you have to guard your time from that. You have to guard your time from television and people that are not giving you anything. Yeah, it's good to have friends. Sometimes it's good to go out, get drinks, whatever you do in your spare time. But it's not necessarily producing. And if you really want something, then do it. 20 hours a day. And that is how businesses are built. That is how wealth is created, especially in the beginning when you're just starting out. Work for it. It doesn't matter. I know people are scared of making a bunch of cold calls. It's scary, especially for the first time. It's very scary. It's extremely intimidating. However, isn't it a lot more intimidating to think about, well, what if I'm scared to not make the call because then my girlfriend will dump me because I don't have any money. I'm not going to have a building with my name on it. I'm not going to do all these great things. I'm not going to achieve my goals. You should be afraid of not achieving your goals. You shouldn't be afraid of making a cold call. Just think about it. That's an excellent motivator. I do it all the time. What is more important here? What is more intimidating? Worst case scenario, what's the worst rut that I could find myself in? Some guy cusses me out, tells me never to call there again, maybe even calls the cops on me if it's an in-person visit. Maybe I'm too intense. There's an office down the street. It doesn't matter. I don't ever have to see that guy again. On the flip side, what if I don't make the call? What if I want a business. If you're in business, obviously you want to be in business, generally, unless you inherited it or something. But the most important thing is to think about it, And The more I work, the more you work. Here's an interesting concept. We'll close on this. Thanks for watching. The more I work, the more I want to work. The more I eat, the more I want to eat. The more I sleep, the more I want to sleep. The more I smoke cigars, the more I want to smoke cigars. Life is like that. The more of something you do, the more you want to do at it, and the better you do at it. Swimming. The more I swim, the better I am at swimming. The more I exercise, the more I want to exercise. The more I watch TV, the more I want to watch TV. And so it really just takes effort. You have to have a resolve to say, okay, I'm going to make 200 cold calls to strangers today. It's not going to be easy. I'm going to have a lot of failures. Most of them are going to be failures. And you have to know in your heart that even if they are all failures, I'll make 200 more the next day. I'm Kris, Millennial Entrepreneur Stream. Thanks for watching. Leave in the comments if you think I'm an idiot or if you think I'm great. I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.